Picture a tiger so massive it could take down a full-grown brown bear. Now imagine one so small it was no bigger than a mountain lion. Tigers come in wildly different sizes, shaped by the places they call home. From the frozen forests of Russia to the tiny island of Bali, each tiger evolved to fit its world. Some grew into giants, others stayed compact and lean. Tonight, we rank them all, every single tiger that has ever walked this planet, from the absolute biggest to the smallest that ever lived. At the very top stands the king of all cats, the Siberian tiger. Males can weigh over 600 pounds and stretch 11 feet from nose to tail tip. That is heavier than 3 full-grown men. These massive hunters roam the frozen forests of far eastern Russia, where winter temperatures drop so low that rivers turn to ice. Their thick fur keeps them warm in some of the harshest conditions on Earth. What makes them so large? Food and space. The Russian wilderness is packed with prey, wild boar, deer, even moose. With so much to eat and endless territory to claim, Siberian tigers grew into the biggest cats alive. They have been known to hunt Asiatic black bears and even take on brown bears when hungry enough. Female Siberians are smaller but still impressive, weighing up to 370 pounds. Just slightly behind comes the Bengal tiger, weighing up to 570 pounds. Males measure about 10 feet long, while females reach around 350 pounds and 8 feet in length. These tigers rule the forests and grasslands of India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan. Their orange coats, blazed with black stripes, make them one of the most recognizable animals on the planet. Bengals are powerful hunters that take down deer, wild boar, and water buffalo. They are also the most numerous tigers left in the wild, with populations finally starting to grow again after decades of decline. But life is not easy. They sometimes clash with human villages, which leads to deadly conflicts. Losing habitat and poaching remain constant threats. Now we step into history. The Caspian tiger once prowled from Turkey all the way to western China. Males weighed between 370 and 530 pounds and measured up to 9 feet long. Females were smaller, around 187 to 298 pounds. This made them one of the biggest tigers to ever exist, larger than modern Bengals and nearly matching Siberians. These tigers lived in riverbanks, wetlands, and sparse forests across Central Asia. They hunted wild pigs, red deer, and gazelles. Their golden coats with narrow stripes helped them blend into dry grasslands. But by the late 1960s, they were gone. Humans hunted them relentlessly and destroyed their habitats. The last confirmed sighting was in the early 1970s. Today, scientists are exploring whether the closely related Siberian tiger could one day be reintroduced to their old territory. Dropping down in size, the Indo-Chinese tiger weighs between 330 and 440 pounds for males. Females are lighter, around 220 to 290 pounds. Males measure about 87 to 95 inches long. These tigers live in the forests of Southeast Asia, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Their darker orange coats and narrower black stripes help them disappear into thick jungle shadows. They hunt deer, wild boar, and smaller prey. Indo-Chinese tigers face a dire future. Their numbers have crashed due to poaching and habitat loss. In Laos, no wild tiger has been seen since 2013. Conservation teams are racing to protect what little remains of their populations. South China tigers are the smallest tigers found on mainland Asia. Males weigh between 287 and 386 pounds and measure 7.5 to 8.5 feet long. Females weigh just 220 to 254 pounds. Once common across southern China, they are now functionally extinct in the wild. No confirmed sightings have occurred in decades. These tigers lived in the mountains and forests of Fujian and surrounding regions. Hunting and habitat destruction wiped them out faster than almost any other tiger. A few dozen survive in captivity, kept alive by breeding programs. But their future in the wild looks grim. They remain one of the rarest big cats on Earth. The Malayan tiger is one of the tiniest tigers still breathing. Males weigh just 104 to 285 pounds, with most around 220 to 300 pounds. Females are even lighter, 53 to 194 pounds, usually around 165 to 243 pounds. Males measure about 7.5 to 9 feet long, females about 8 feet. These small tigers live only on the Malay Peninsula in Malaysia. They were not even recognized as a separate group until 2004. Their smaller size likely comes from living on limited land with smaller prey. They hunt deer, wild boar, and smaller mammals in dense rainforests. With fewer than 150 left in the wild, Malayans are critically endangered and hanging by a thread. The Sumatran tiger is the smallest living tiger in the world. Males weigh between 220 and 310 pounds and measure up to 9 feet long. Females weigh just 165 to 243 pounds. They live only on the Indonesian island of Sumatra. Island tigers evolved to be smaller through a process called island dwarfism, when animals shrink over generations because food and space are limited. Their reddish-orange coats and narrower black stripes make them easy to tell apart from mainland tigers. Sumatrans are critically endangered, with fewer than 400 left in the wild. Poaching and deforestation threaten every single one. Sliding into the extinct category, the Javan tiger once lived on the island of Java in Indonesia. Males weighed between 220 and 311 pounds and measured about 8 feet long. Females were smaller, between 165 and 254 pounds. They were similar in size to Sumatran tigers, but had slightly longer noses and narrower skulls. Javan tigers had long, thin stripes that covered their golden coats. They hunted smaller deer and wild pigs in dense jungle. But Java is one of the most crowded islands on Earth. As forests were cut down and tigers were hunted, they disappeared. The last confirmed sighting was in the 1980s. Today, nothing remains but bones and skins in museums. At the very bottom of the list sits the tiniest tiger that ever existed, the Bali tiger. Males weighed just 200 to 220 pounds and measured about 7 to 7.5 feet long. Females were even smaller, weighing only 143 to 176 pounds and measuring around 6 to 7 feet. They were about the same size as a leopard or cougar. This little tiger lived only on the small island of Bali. It had the brightest coat and the fewest stripes of any tiger. Bali tigers were the first tiger to go extinct in modern history. Dutch colonial hunters shot them relentlessly in the early 1900s. The last known Bali tiger, an adult female, was killed in 1937. By the end of World War II, they were gone forever. A wildlife reserve was created in 1941, but it came too late. The size of a tiger tells a story. Big tigers like Siberians live in cold places with massive prey and endless space. Small tigers like the Bali evolved on tiny islands where food was scarce and territory was tight. Size is survival. It is adaptation. It is proof that nature molds animals to fit their world. But size could not save them from us. 3 tiger groups are gone forever. The 6 that remain are all endangered or critically endangered. Tigers have lost more than 90% of their historic range. Fewer than 4,000 survive in the wild across all groups combined. From the 600-pound Siberian to the vanished 143-pound Bali tiger, every single one has faced the same enemy: habitat loss, poaching, and human expansion. Conservation efforts are finally making a difference. Tiger numbers have increased for the first time in over a century. Protected parks in Russia, India, Thailand, Nepal, and Malaysia are giving tigers space to recover. But the battle is far from over. Tigers remain critically dependent on our help. Their future is in our hands. From the frozen north to tropical islands, tigers evolved into an incredible range of sizes. The 600-pound Siberian, the 143-pound Bali. Giants and small hunters, each perfectly built for their world. 3 are gone. 6 remain, barely holding on. Every tiger matters. Every habitat counts. The story of tiger size is really a story of survival, and whether we will let these magnificent cats continue to walk this earth. Thank you for watching. If this journey inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe. There is still more of the wild to explore together.